Thank you, Sanya Jeevan, for inviting us. It's an absolute pleasure. I have been part of these events when they were done in physical format, and this year, because of various reasons, we have taken the leap, and we are now using tech to put ourselves, and doing this in a virtual format. And I'm absolutely glad to be part of it to be part of the first virtual, conference that we are currently going through. So with me, I have an eminent panel, and, as we go through, we will introduce them. While we are doing that, right, can I just request the panelists to keep themselves on mute? So, Dr. Suresh, if you can just put yourself on mute. Shyamol, if you can put yourself on mute. Thank you very much. And Subbu, whenever you can connect on the video, right, let us know once we do that. For those of you who have listened to the sessions earlier, right, we had conversations about how it is important to have customer focus. And I think Bharat talked about it, right? Earlier, several speakers talk about customer experience. McKinsey says that about 89% of the companies worldwide compete on customer experience. Right? And when you say 89%, basically it means everybody, right? So it is a no-brainer. We all understand it. We understand how customer experience is important, and we also understand how some of the emerging tech helps us to kind of relook at our customer experience. So in today's panel, for the next half an hour, what I would like to do is to get some views of our eminent speakers and panelists on a few things. One is how the banking, insurance, FI industries, right? How are they using the new tech in terms of addressing and changing the needs of the customer? What we have specifically seen in terms of the newer waves of innovation, right? Are there some tech solutions that were hyped up earlier, did not seem to have worked well? Are there some which have worked well, and kind of are doing well? We also wanted to see if there are some things that we have witnessed in the last 6 months due to the pandemic, and that has affected the use of tech, both positively and negatively. And we don't want this session to be about pandemic. We have a pandemic of webinars related to pandemic, but we do want to talk a little bit about that. And then, which technologies do we find working well, or we seem to see them in future? And while I go to the speakers, right, what I would request you to also do is for the listeners, if you can take maybe 3 takeaways, right, 1-2 takeaways from each one of you, so that by the time we finish our panel discussion, we have at least 3 takeaways for the listeners and for banking professionals in this industry. What advice can we kind of give you as an industry at large, right? So for that, right, let me begin with our first panelist. He's the head of innovation and future tech for Mahindra & Mahindra. He's been there for about 22 years, so he has a sizable amount of experience around that area. Dr. Suresh Shan, he also is a bridge between academia and corporates, and his interest lies in making technology simpler for rural sections. So let me start with you, Doctor, and I wanted to ask you, in your domain, right, specific solutions that seem to be working really well in urban areas or in rural areas, and how do you see customer experience in general improving in those? Right? And you have a background on academia, so could you also tell us a little bit about, from that perspective, how does it work? And you see any
good afternoon,
right? Good afternoon.
Yeah. Good afternoon, everyone. It's a great question. Again, whenever it comes to customers, we are delighted. We're part of Mahindra, keeping the RISE philosophy. We are more happy to acquire a customer than getting a new customer. So keeping them that lights on and trying to engage with and trying to get the best out of it in a long term. So why such customer experience is seen focused more a lot now, where we can see the digital transformation from corporate digital, it is moving towards the customer digital, where every individual customer is treated as a corporate. And every solutions now it's getting evolved towards the customer to engage and trying to get best out of it for a long term. From the financial services, initially we started doing the concept of just trying to get engaged with them and try to give some loans and come back. But we found a lot more scope is there to find, to get for their lifelong financial services and advisory to engage and make them to earn, to make them to pay for us on a long term. So So a concept of earn to pay, make them to earn so that they can pay for us. Beyond that, the customer is getting all the benefits and feels which empowers them to get into that. And if you see from the technology perspective, since we are more operating in the rural India, we have understood for us e-business is less to do with electronics, more to do with emotions. So keeping the research part internally and trying to bring out as much belief behavior which we convert as binary, transform into business makes best benefits. So keeping in the interest of time and trying to build it out, it's at the end of the day, it's matter a lot more for the customer getting engaged and keeping the repeated customers, acquiring the customers for long time. In our case, we have more than 8 million customers maximum or repeated customers who are happy with our services and a happy customer getting engaged for a long time.
Do you find that the behavior or these emotions, they are different for rural as compared to urban? Is there like a significant difference? Because we keep hearing about this all over. And in your experience, because you work in that area significantly, what is your personal experience around that? Do you find that it is still?
Yes, I can narrate even for more than an hour on that. But to take some easy going, we introduced something called an astrological message, which is nothing but being an Kanya star, you will get your money back, and that is printed in the receipts, and even the IVR goes to the customer. And being especially the transporters, they are very much biased with traditional in terms of astrological message. It connected them a lot, and they started getting or they started demanding more information related to that. So, and again, if you see from the trusted environment, we have to build to get engaged with them for a long term. Almost all the conversations when we try to make it in IVR, we try to bring out that much accent and the multilingual, which matters to them and which gets connect to them and get engaged for a long time. So it starts with the communication, but it even spreads to understand and try to be where the customer right to take the demand and try to create that technology and make it simple so that they can utilize for a long time.
Great. I think that makes sense for everybody, right? So two things. One is to make the overall experience simple, less effort, right, for the customer, and also looking at it at multiple sections. I think we had Dr. Suresh drop off, but I think that was the message that we got from him. So great. Once he comes back, I'll thank him for his inputs on this one. Let me quickly move on to the second speaker that we have. We have someone from across the border, Shyamol Das. He's the Chief Digital Officer for Mutual Trust Bank. He's been there for less than a year, but his experience has been with banking throughout, and he was with Bank for about 10 and a half years. And one of the things that is of interest to him is that he likes to learn new tech, new things related to technology. He signs up for several courses for it, from different universities, Oxford, and so on. So welcome, Shyamol, on this particular panel. Really great to have you. And you, as you can imagine, nowadays for the last 2-3 days, there has been a lot of discussion about India and Bangladesh in the media. So it's great to have you.
Right, absolutely.
Have you here? But let me straight away get into the question. And so in terms of your experience, right, about handling the pandemic situation, has it been different than, let's say, other places in Asia? Right? Considering Bangladesh banking industry is different, let's say, from India. What is your general take on that?
Thank you, Shreekant, and the eminent panelist over here. And good afternoon to everybody. First of all, actually, coronavirus or the COVID situation has taken us aback, of course. And I wouldn't really compare the Indian market to Bangladesh market, because India, in terms of technology and other areas, you are quite ahead of us. And actually, I would say that whenever we try to do something, we always copy India. so my management or board will always say, what HDFC is doing, what ICICI is doing. So, so we are learning a lot from you. I wouldn't say that we are in terms of COVID situation also, it didn't take us ahead, but we have been taken aback initially because nobody expected that. And in Bangladesh, actually, still the banking are getting automated. I would say RBI is quite ahead in terms of regulations and other things, while a Bangladesh bank also quite good and helping us out. But I think it's not as good as, I wouldn't put as good as, I would say as progressive as RBI, but we are trying to get there. That's number one. So as a result, what happened when COVID hit us? Actually, since you asked that, we found out that many of the countries were quite ready in terms of technology platform, while in Bangladesh still we have been using with the old technology of VPN and blah blah blah, to connect
Correct.
the users.
Correct.
And as a result, what happened? The user experience wasn't very good. User, I mean our internal user. So the COVID situation, actually, if you really say in terms of that, while we were, I would say, we were ready with one area where our MFS has been quite strong in Bangladesh. We have Bcash, we have Nagod, we have Rocket. These are the company have been doing very well. So as a result, the payment in terms of smaller thing, buying, delivery at home during that situation wasn't taken very much of a pump in that area. While in terms of banking, I would say we have learned first 2 months. Then actually we started acting. So it's not that like Indian banks we started from the day acting from the day one, because we were not ready, I would say. So as a result, but one thing that we have learned very well, that what the things that we used to do, we used to say 3 months, 6 months, we could now do in 10 days, 15 days. That is what has been interesting part. So I would say that yes, we are trying our best to get there. We are still learning to handle the COVID situation. Yes, I would say that where India, probably we work with many Indian companies, and I found out that 75, 85, 80% people work from home. We couldn't have that kind of luxury, but we tried our best to keep at least 60% people on site and 40% people from home. So that is how we ran the business. Actually, I would say that is the first experience that we had in terms of technology.
Right.
And then I think, yeah, you had another question,
I mean, this is a personal question, and you can feel free to say that you don't want to answer it. But your movement from Bragg Bank to Mutual Trust happened right in the time of pandemic, and I just wanted to understand how did that work for you? Did you find that there was a difference in the way it was? Would it have been different in the way it was managed or handled? Or are there any certain set of techs that got used here which were different with Mutual Trust?
I was fortunate to move 25 days before, so I would say that 25, yeah. So yes, one difference I tell you in terms of technology and other experience, what happened. See, in Bragg itself was a big ecosystem, because Bragg, they're beside NGO, bank, Bcash also one of their, their sister concern. So whenever we used to plan anything, we used to plan as a digital ecosystem. So as I said, Bragg itself is a digital ecosystem we are building over there. So we used to focus more on, SME was our main bread and butter over there, while we used to cater retail and corporate banking as well. And whenever we tried to do anything with SME, we had to always bring either our Bragg in the scenario or the Bcash. See, we try to design something over there. I'm coming to the point. I will take a short time, but you need to understand that. Then I can give you the perspective of what's the difference. So whenever we try to design something, something. Let's say I just give an example of 10 lakhs. 10 lakhs above 10 lakhs, the bank will take care. Anything under 5 lakhs, the Bragg will take care. Anything under 100,000 will be taken care. 100 or 50,000 will be taken care by Bcash. So you can see we can design a beautiful digital ecosystem over there. And Bragg was a huge platform. So while I moved into MTBL, as I said, the digital was over there. We are designing, and that was very important for Bragg to sustain in the coming years. But while I moved to MTB, and as I said, that some of the readiness, that here the focus is not in SME. SME is a very small portion over here, while the corporate and retail is a very, and trade is very powerful here. So
and the customer experience, right. The way you look at the customers, they look at their service journeys, all of that will be quite different, considering these are different.
So my focus were immediately here, the trade, because the trade is one of the major money earner over here. So how to automate the operation, make sure they can do seamlessly. And I can tell you one thing. That is one thing that on the first 1 month, actually, we have automated our. Not in terms of solution. Whatever we had, we sent everybody. As I told you, 60 to 70% people at home, and we said you run the operation, nothing to worry. And those are the areas we made automate. So here my priority was different. Here whatever the digital initiative we brought in, all were based on the priority of the business. Then, of course, my customer journey has to be, or customer experience has to be number one. But here I try to look at the trade customer, not my actual retail. Here the retail customer, how we address is our app and internet banking. before, we used to give it to our team and say, hey guys, can you do it? They used to say, it's a 2 month, 3 month job, but we could do in 15 days. Every 15 days, I said during the COVID, one item should come for the customer. So as you can see, our app rating was about 4.3 or something, and by the time today we are sitting, it's about 4.8. So you can understand the customer. We could really give that experience, that because they are happy with every day something is coming. These are the different thing. So as you can see, there's the difference between BRAC and MTV. What has happened? The focus changed completely, and the importance.
Right, and you have to adjust to it. I mean, at COPC, we are we are a consulting firm. We're focused on customer experience, and our experience has always been like that. That you have to first understand the customer, then design your processes from that
Absolutely.
point of view, right? Depending on what type of customer it is, right? Then you will have to look at your your overall approaches and so on. Right, Suresh, can you put your this thing on mute, please? Thanks,
So
Suresh.
yeah.
Right, great. Thanks, Shyamol, for that one. And Suresh, happy to have you back. I think I can see Dipu as well on it, so I will come to it. But let me move on to the next panelist. Thanks, Shyamol, for your input. It's nice and good to hear fresh perspective from the other side. So thanks for
Thank you.
that. I will move to Sourabh. Sourabh Gupta is the co-founder and CEO. For about 4 years, he's been running this company called Vernacular.Ai, and he loves to mentor a lot of startups. He's based in Bangalore, and I'm sure we would all like to hear more about your startup experience and working with banks, and especially how things like things like NLP and natural language processing handle our regional languages, right? So that's one thing I would like to if you can speak a little bit about it, and also what are the challenges that you see in the marketplace currently in the coming future in terms of implementing some of this new technology, in the domain, right? So Saurabh, over to you, right, and welcome.
Sure. Thank you, Shreekant. Thanks a lot for having me. I think some of our panelists are having some challenges, but I really hope we are able to get them back. And
we have to go, but I think he's dropped off, and we'll see if we can get him by the time our session is over.
Yeah. So, Shreekant, this is how we look at customer experience, right? In today's day and age, most of the products and services are more or less similar. So, customer experience has truly become a new battleground, right? There was a study done by Salesforce very recently where they figured out that more than 80% enterprises feel that customer experience is at least as important as the product or service itself, if not more. And at the same time, more than 50% of them feel that they need to change the way they give experience to their customers, right? And I think the complexity of giving great customer experience comes because there are multiple contact points, right? There could be a website, there could be an app, there could be physical branch, there could be a call center. And what customers are really looking for today is ease of access. I think that is number one from how we look at it. Ease of access, quick query resolution. There is personalized communication and consistent messaging, right? These are the four things that customers are looking for, and that is across all channels. So if you look at a website, a customer, if he's coming on your website, he's expecting you to provide, let's say, the email address or a phone number very easily. If a multilingual or a rural user is coming on your app, he's expecting it to be multilingual. Or if a person is coming on the call center and calling, he's expecting the query to be answered, fairly easily. At the same time,
if I may ask, how are the regional languages, right? So from an AI perspective and some of these natural language processing, those kind of things, do our regional languages, are they conducive enough for the technology? Do we see new changes happening in the way the tech is developing to be able to process these regional differences that we have, especially countries like India, even Bangladesh, right? I mean, there are several, pockets within that, and it just becomes difficult when it comes to traditional way of implementing tech.
Yeah. So Shreekant, I'll come to that in a bit, but I think that it's important that we sort of cover the ground before we get there. So talking specifically about these contact points, what we are increasingly seeing with these enterprises is that call centers are lagging behind significantly, right? If you're a user today and you are calling call center of a bank, you're spending maybe close to 50-60 seconds, navigating through the IVR. And 50-60 seconds might seem small, but if you really look at the clock and wait, it's a lot of time. And then, it could take anywhere from 2 minutes to 30 odd minutes to get connected to an agent. And the agent might or might not be trained enough to, talk to the customer well. Might not even know who the customer is, even if the customer is 20-year-old, because of, data being, in silos, etc. So, this is, big challenge for customer experience is what we feel. And what we are doing at Vernacular is, solving all these problems that we discussed by building voice bots. Right? Our solution integrates with telephony of an enterprise and is able to automate not just what humans are, not just IVR, but what redundant part of what humans are doing on call centers today. And, earlier, if a user was spending 50, 60 seconds on IVR, now, he's getting connected to a bot in less than a second. Earlier, the wait time to get connected to an agent was, anywhere from like 2 minutes to 30 minutes. Now it's happening, real time. Bot already is integrated with all the systems in the bank, let's say. So the bot already knows who the customer is. He probably already knows, what is the reason for them to call. Maybe they made a transaction a couple of hours ago. Right. So, what we're seeing is that, this technology can solve all the 4 problems that, customers face. So there is definitely easy access. There is definitely, quick query resolution, consistent messaging, you call 10 times, you can experience the same, interface, and personalization, right? This is where we really, talk about 2 dimensions, right? One dimension is just knowing who the customer is. But the other dimension is what you were talking about, Shreekant, which is, understanding the cultural nuances of, a geography like India, where, we have 2 official languages. Yeah, we have, so many dialects. So what we are able to do, Shreekant, I mean, this was not possible maybe 4 or 5 years ago, but because of deep learning, etc., coming into picture, what we are doing is we today support 10 different languages in India, and we are supporting some 200 odd dialects. And we are going so personalized in that, that if a user is calling us from Bihar, we are not talking to them in Hindi. We are able to figure out their dialect is Bhojpuri, and you talk to them back in Bhojpuri. And the kind of personalization that brings in, right? It's at language level. It can also be, let's say at an age level. If someone is 70-year-old plus, we are able to figure that out from our audios, and we are able to talk to them slowly, right? If someone is a teenager customer of a bank, he doesn't want to hear those sophisticated, words in banking, terms. He wants to hear very simple, colloquial, words, etc. So that is what we are doing. We're working with some of the largest banks in India today, like ICICI Bank, Axis Bank. In fact, we went live with Axis Bank, around 6 months ago, and within the first quarter, we reduced their average handling time by 25%, which is huge. From a bank perspective, we've automated, more than 30-40% of the queries already, and we are seeing more than 90% resolution rate. And this is just in the first quarter, right? We have large plans of doing this. So we are seeing that enterprises are, kind of, looking at this as a large problem and, trying to work with us to solve it.
Okay, great. Thanks, Sourabh, for sharing these use cases, and it's brilliant to hear that the tech is also adapting as things are going forward. I think that's probably the one that will help us innovate further. Make sure that the customers' experience and the effort that they put in, right, to solve their queries, as long as we are able to bring that down, right, to a certain extent, those innovations and those techs will typically succeed, right, in the market, right? Anything that is a fancy just because it's out there and everybody is doing it, that's why we are doing it, then that doesn't stay. It is not a sustainable solution, right? But thanks for sharing that. And to a certain extent, that takes me to the next question, and I will have Subbu. I think Subbu, I can see you now, so good to get you back. But that brings me very nicely to a question that I wanted to ask you, right? And before I do that, let's introduce Subbu. Suresh, you can put yourself on mute, please. Because there is a lot of background. Okay. So Subbu Iyer, he is the Senior Vice President and Head of Customer Experience with DBS Bank for about 2 years. But he's actually a telecom guy, right? From beginning. He's been with Vodafone and Allianz and several decades of experience on telco, and then he made a switch over to bank. So he brings in perspective from both industries, and he's also a tremendous sports enthusiast. Has been playing T20, cricket, corporate T20 on the circuit. So great around that. Suresh, Dr. Suresh, if you can mute yourself a bit, there is a lot of background at your end. Dr. Suresh. Thank you. All right, thanks. So my question, Subbu, to you is, speaking of these emerging techs, right, that Sourabh just talked about, and Dr. Suresh also mentioned about how we kind of get in there, and Shyamol talk about his strategy. How do you see in terms of the deployment, how different it is for let's say an all digital bank like DBS versus a more traditional bank, right? And I'm sure you've been asked this question multiple times, but how do you see and how do you compare that, right, in terms of different setups? Over to you, Subbu.
Okay, I'll just give I hope I'm audible.
Yes.
Perfect. So I'll just give a small little background with regards to the traditional setup. So I'll go back to the regulator, the RBI regulatory setup that we have. Right, it is important for any bank, right, to have a branch, based at each and every location, right? So when you set up a branch, your branch typically is you have your branch head, your cluster head. It gets into the relationship management. It has that physicality to the entire piece. Wherein you take care of your HNI clients, your clients who are right up there in terms of their investments and so on and so forth, their requirements and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So that continues, right? That continues. Right. Now coming back to your question with regards to a digital bank, right? Mm-hmm. So being digital, that gives you a huge plus point or a huge advantage when you want to roll out, when you want to scale up, on the branch side of the thing as well, right? So I'll just give you a immediate, use case. Unfortunately or fortunately, all of us have gone through, whatever we went through in the last 6 to 7 months because of COVID, right? I mean, yes, it was extremely challenging for all of us, but at the same point in time, it also provided a huge opportunity in terms of how do you want to, kind of look at how do you want to take care of the customers and take care of their requirements and so on and so forth. So what we went ahead, absolutely. So what we went ahead doing is, and again, just a step back to give you different perspectives. There are two different businesses that we have. As I said, one is the branch network, and second is the digital thing, wherein your entire end-to-end, all the customer life cycle and everything happens on the digital framework, right? So it provided a huge opportunity for us to dial that up for a branch or HNI clients as well, right? I mean, even customers, if we put ourselves in customer shoes, even they were extremely jittery with regards to any personal contact or walking into a branch or taking care of their, financial needs, financial requirements, and so on and so forth. When it came into that kind of a scenario, it provided us a huge opportunity, and since we had the digital background, it was easier for us to replicate the same thing for the branch, set of customers as well. So what it provides is very, very clear. Omni-channel in the real sense of the word, right? I mean, I was hearing to what Sourabh was mentioning about how bots are, kind of making a difference. So when it comes to DBS, I think out of all our interactions put together, about 72 to 73% of our interactions get done on the bot. Wow. 73%, right? So that is a self-serve is the kind of the model that we have. So customers are able to go in at their convenience, at their ease. There is a bot. There is a guided conversation that the bot is able to kind of provide. And I'm sure, all of us will also agree that when it comes to product kind of a scenario, it is either a 0 or a 1. It becomes all the more easier for the bot to give out answers. But when it gets into a transaction kind of or an interaction kind of this thing, that is where the bot fails and the bot continues to learn, right? And over a period of time, we have been able to build, depending upon what have been the customer queries that have come in, and we have kind of created a tree kind of this thing, wherein top-down kind of an approach, and it is readily available, right, for the customer rather than they having to type it out, right? So one is it provides a huge, a faster go-to-market for us. Scalability is absolutely there for us to go back and kind of replicate any of these new products or new services that you may want to kind of roll out. And the third one is when it comes into rolling it out as a digital initiative, all of your products and services will be available on the digital platform. And before we go back and kind of launch any product or service, it is extremely important for us to go back and understand what does the customer want, how can we make the journey easier. We deploy a 4D approach so that it becomes easier from the customer's perspective. And not only that,
So
once
integrated approach, not a separate approach.
absolutely,
That first
absolutely,
we will do this and then we will do that. Right?
absolutely, absolutely.
Great. So that was great insight. Thank you very much. I'm just going to see from a timing perspective if Dipu is able to, contribute, participate, then we'll just try to check that. So, Dipu, are you able to speak up? We can't see you, but are you able to participate? I think I can see him logged in, but I can't make out whether he's able to put in.
He's muted as well.
Muted as well, yeah. Okay. All right. He's not able to hear also, right? Okay. All right. Let's give it on that then. So here is, just kind of, if we have a couple of minutes, if I can just go through right around the group, and if there is one thing that you would probably recommend the participants and the listeners, right? If from an emerging tech, from an innovation perspective, is there one advice that you can give to the listeners, right? So, Dr. Suresh, is there like one sentence that you can tell them to kind of focus on, work on, and we'll just quickly go around the five of us. Dr. Suresh.
I would say the post-COVID has created the humanity, power, and transparency, and trying to bring as much as very close to the customers. Let us capitalize on that, and even both internal and external. If you see as customers, they have all realized and understood digital can make some difference in their lives. So let us understand and fine tune it and try to create so that we can try to build it and try to get service on that. Let's do something on our customer digital which enables and empowers and engages the customer, and keep it simple so that the customer gets real benefit out of it. And this is a real time where we all should come together and try to create that, not just as a technology, more of a relationship, and create that humanity which we can all serve together and come together and let us fight together to get out of it.
Super, thank you. So basically, it is not that this is not going to go away. This has made a significant change for all of us, right? First of all, once we understand that there is a fundamental change in the way we do our business, right? And then we want to make sure that we make the most of it. Don't take that as a challenge, but take that as an opportunity to reinvent ourselves. I think that would be one of the messages, right?
In one line, if you want to say e-business is less of electronics and more of emotions. Let us create something called belief behavior binary business best benefits, which will make everybody happier.
Thank you, Dr. Suresh. Right. Shyamol?
Yeah, I will start with this, that what worked in the past that will not be successful there in the future. That is how I'm going to start. So what happened actually, while we started this digital journey, we had many things. We called it MVPs or minimum viable products. Now we don't call it minimum viable product, we call minimum viable priorities. So that is most important thing that we need to look into. So whatever happened, the minimum viable product that you wanted to bring, don't look at the same aspect in terms of digital journey. Then probably we are wrong, because the COVID has taught us what is priority, what is important for us. Many of us learned it that earning money is not everything, because now you can't spend because you can't go out. So that, doing so many things for your bank may not just make the customer happy, or your bank
will have changed, right? So and that's a great point.
What is important at this COVID situation, as Subbu said, the chatbot. As I told you, I brought down the chatbot, which was working for some time, in less than 30 days. And that has a huge impact on our call center, because you could divert almost 30 to 40% people onto the chatbot. So even though that was in our plan to go in with AI, lots of dynamic things and all, but I said no, just put it in the market, and immediately we got the result. So now we are making it more mature. We are looking into it. So my suggestion as it is that how the way you planned your digital, don't think the same way. Please think different way. Bring the priorities first. Thank you.
the joke is that this year's Chief Technology Officer Award goes to COVID, right, for everybody. So to a certain extent, right, we consider that, right? We take it in the positive light, right? We learn from whatever we've done in the last 6 months and then kind of try to implement. But that's a great point, Shyamol. Whatever we used to do earlier. So even in our experience, right, in COPC, when we consult organizations, whatever analysis they were doing earlier in terms of what drives customer experience may no longer be valid, because the reasons why customers are now contacting you have changed, right? So as long as we understand that and we work towards that, I think that would be great, and I think that would be one of the guidance to people. Saurabh, one line for participants and listeners, please.
Sure. So Shreekant, I think we need to work from the customer and move backward, right?
Right.
Yeah. So customers want easy access, quick query resolution. We need to provide that across all channels, and not just stop at that, but with quick query resolution, we need to do RCA and eliminate the issues.
Right. So, but look at it outside in, and there are some great books and great theories around it, right? How you need to move yourself. So we do a lot of service journey mapping, customer journey mapping, right? Try to look at customer personas, and so that we move away from what we are doing as a bank or as a financial institution, but we start to looking at, okay, the customer has a certain lifestyle, and we are trying to help them support that, right? That's where things are getting
right. Best service is no service.
Absolutely right. Thank you very much, Sourabh, for that. Last one, Subbu, for you. One line you can tell people what you.
Quick one would be, I think it is here to stay, and it is important for all of us to embrace this change. That is so very critical. And the second one also is to keep the customer at the center rather than selling a product or a service. Try and understand what does the customer want, and you have now almost, from all the organization perspective, they have speeded up their digital journey, right? So how could you leverage upon that, and how could you bring it to your advantage, keeping the customer at the center?
Right. So all the technology innovations that happen generally have a very limited, shelf life, because people can replicate, your competition can replicate. So you can't be saying that today I will implement, like just as an example, today I'm implementing a chatbot and it's working brilliantly, so I don't have to worry for the next few months, right? The point is that within a couple of days, you will find that there will be things that will take over. So you have to be more as they say, you have to be more agile. You have to kind of keep looking at opportunities to keep updating yourself. I guess that would be a recommendation for people. Is that fine? So to your point. All right, excellent. All right, absolutely. I think we have run out of time, but this was a great session. I'm hoping that all of you also enjoyed the way we kind of go about, and for the listeners, I hope you got at least 4 or 5 things to take back to. So with that, I would thank Shyamol, Saurabh, Suresh, Subbu. Dipu couldn't join us today, but he's tried. So I mean, thank you all of you for your time and great insights and interaction. I truly enjoyed it, and I look forward to interacting with you as we go further ahead. Right. So thank you for it, and have a great day.